Hello, readers of Bold Profits Daily. Thank you for tuning in to this very special video broadcast. I'm Amber Lancaster, Director of Investment Research here at Banyan Hill Publishing. Before I go any further, I must be straightforward with you. Today, in my life, at this very moment, the feeling I feel is so bittersweet. This past week, I learned that I will soon have to send a fond farewell to a person that I found to be an inspiration to me in my life, and especially in the investing world. I'm speaking of my dear friend and colleague, Paul Mampilli. Over the past few years, I've had the privilege and the honor to work with Paul every day. From his futuristic views of the world of investing to his fun and futuristic specially made t-shirts. With Paul, what you see is what you get, and what you get is a gem of a human being. Behind the scenes, Paul and I developed a wonderful friendship. He actually would ship me his favorite candies from a chocolatier in Miami, and I would ship him fresh mangoes off my fruit trees. So I will miss working with him day to day. I certainly will. And he's a genuine, forthright, and downright enjoyable person to work with. And I have nothing but abundant blessings that I want to grant him with as he soon retires from Banyan Hill and pursues his next life endeavors. And I do hope that our paths cross again. So once I learned that Paul was retiring from Banyan Hill, the first question that came to my mind was about you, our wonderful Bold Profits readers. Who can possibly step in and be gifted the reins of leading our readers into the next phase of investing? Well, I'm happy to share that Paul and our CEO handpicked that person. And that person I've actually known for over 4 years. He leads the Winning Investor Daily team at Banyan Hill Publishing, and his name is Ian King. He's joining me today to chat about what he thinks of this new venture of helping not only his dedicated readers at Winning Investor Daily, but now our Strong Hands Nation, our Bold Profits Daily readers. He's here to share the investing desires of his heart with all of us. So without further ado, let's meet Ian King. Hello, Ian. How are you today?
I'm doing good, Amber. How are you?
I am well. I'm so glad that you're able to join me today. And I just must share with everyone before I even begin, that in my conversations and interactions with this gentleman right here, Ian, over the years, I always come away with the same feeling every single time. I find Ian to be not only down to earth, but Ian is brilliant. So Ian, before we get into a more serious discussion for this video, I actually like to break the ice if that's okay with you. You have a couple of minutes.
Sure, but I also want to say, Amber, thank you for your kind words. Like, I'm so flattered. And I just want to also say that today is a very bittersweet day for me as well. I mean, Paul is an absolute legend in this space. He's been somewhat of a mentor to me as I joined Banyan Hill, after him. And I know that I've got huge shoes to fill here. So I'm going to give it my best. No one is going to be Paul, but you and I are going to work together to develop, deliver the same type of research and product that your subscribers have expected from you.
Oh, thank you for saying that, Ian. I couldn't agree more. So glad you're here with us. So glad that you're going to take these reins, and I know you'll do your utmost. So, Ian, I like to just get a little feel of who you are on a fun, not so serious side. So my first question to you, Ian, if you were given a choice of a car, because I'm a gearhead, Bull Profits Nation is that, your choice is a Jeep, a Jaguar, a Tesla, or an Audi. Which car would you choose?
Oh man, this is an easy one for me, Amber. I am a Jeep guy.
Okay.
Yeah. I lived in Nicaragua in 2014, and I had an 82 Toyota FJ40. which
Those are
is an amazing diesel engine. And the thing had gripper tires, could climb over everything, get me to any surf break that in the entire country. It broke down a lot, but I'd have to hitchhike my way to the local gas station to get a tow truck to come pick it up. But I'm definitely a Jeep guy.
okay. I love Jeep, so I'm there with you, Ian, actually.
Awesome.
So my second icebreaker question to you is, Ian, if you had a choice to take a walk in the park, a walk or a play on the beach, or actually take a hike in a pristine, beautiful wooded area, what would you choose?
Well, I'm also a beach person. I mean, can I take a walk on the beach?
Yeah, you
Not
can
just play on the beach? Okay, I take a walk on the beach for sure.
Okay. Well, that's beautiful. Who cannot get a more beautiful time than on the beach? So, Ian, thank you again for joining me today. Just have some questions so people
All right,
all get
let's
to know you
talk.
better. So, my first question, of course, is if you can just tell us about yourself. I understand that you're a former hedge fund manager. So, I'd just like to hear about your career pursuits and what brought you into the finance and investing world.
How much time do you have?
All the time.
Okay. So I come from a very unconventional background. I mean, somewhat traditional finance, but have done some entrepreneurial work on my own. I would kind of define myself as someone who likes to think outside the box and do things sort of out of the ordinary.
Yeah.
I studied pre-med and psychology in college, but I went to work for Salomon Brothers. I went from basically pre-med to finance,
Wow.
and started basically as a desk clerk on the mortgage bond trading desk at Salomon Brothers, which at the time was, sort of the cream of the crop on Wall Street. I had the opportunity to basically float around every single fixed income trading desk, learn all the products. I wound up in credit derivatives for 2 years. But then I decided that I wanted to take a little more risk for myself. And I actually left the Wall Street bank to the chagrin of my superiors, who were like, "What are you doing? You're on the track here. You shouldn't leave." And I decided I just want to go be a prop trader. So I took basically the investment savings I had made at my years at Salomon Brothers and put it up at one of these bucket shops on Wall Street and lost it in the first couple of months.
Okay.
But in this business, it's losing is that what teaches you the things you shouldn't do. And I think that helped me improve my process and sort of start to understand the market a little bit better. From there, I ran a trading desk. I went back to work for another bank for a couple of years and realized that that's not what I wanted to do. So I set on my own, raised some money from some friends and family, started a little hedge fund, right, before the financial collapse. First couple of years were rough, but then we hit our stride. I did well enough that I could afford to take some time off, did some other pursuits. I started a rig washing company in the Marcellus Shale where we were going out and contracting with energy companies to actually do some oil services work. I started an NGO that operates in South Asia, which many people are familiar with. And thank you for the kind donations that have come in. We teach young mothers about the microbes that live in their environment that can be detrimental to their health and the health of their children. And then how did I finally wind up in the publishing industry? Well, I was living on the beach in Nicaragua and I just was reading every book I can about macroeconomics, trying to give myself the education that I didn't get when I was a pre-med major. And I started writing a blog about the philosophical underpinnings of monetary policy. And then I started getting very interested in cryptocurrencies at the time. Got picked up by Investopedia, published articles there for about 6 months, and then Banyan Hill found me and sort of plucked me out of obscurity and made me an editor. So now I'm here writing about tech trends and innovations and things that I just find really fascinating.
Oh, Ian, I am just blown away. I love this process of your life and how it brought you here to us. That is just amazing.
Oh, thank you.
Emperor. So, Ian, I have to venture to say that, and you're dealing with the markets. I know you've seen all type of market gyrations. And I'd like to know what has been your experience as a trader when we're experiencing a market downturn of sorts.
Sure. I like a bear market like this, you just have to learn how to survive. Okay. And that might mean cutting positions down, sort of trading around. When you have big down days, you buy, you sell on green, buy the dips, sell the rips. This is not, if you're thinking about if you're skiing or surfing or fishing, this is not like ideal conditions right now, obviously for the average investor.
Yeah.
But we see this through every cycle. The bad down bear markets like we have now eventually spring into the next fully blossom bull market that we'll see sometime in the future. And so now is the time to start making those decisions into what type of assets you think are going to outperform over the next 5 or 10 years. I've been through, let's see, bear market after .com. I guess we had a bear market in an Asian financial crisis in '98, but it was not that long. Right. There was kind of a 2-year prolonged bear market after .com, the financial crisis. There was a bear market for about a year, 2008, 2009. 2015, we had a little bit of bear market. So we have them every, 5-7 years. Yeah. This one has gone on a little bit longer. We've been in a bear market since early 2021. So we're looking at about 18 months right now, but I think we're closer, to where the bottom is than where the top is, with given what's going on in the economy right now and how the market is already in bear market territory. So, the best piece of advice is do what you can do to stay in the game, because this is basically a war of attrition. There's going to be better times ahead. There will be another bull market at some point, probably in the next few years. Yeah. And you got to have capital available to be invested at that point in time. So that's the best piece of advice I can give.
Oh, that's fantastic. I love that you mentioned capital. Capital is key. So Ian, regarding the core of your investing philosophy, I'd just like to understand how you see the investing world in its present state, and where do you see us going in the future, especially where we're looking future forward technology type investments.
Sure. So the thing I love most about technology is the impact that it has on humans and society. And I believe that innovation is so important because it allows us to do more with less. Okay. We've always thought about the world as moving towards scarce resources, right? If you look at Malthusian economics, it's basically, you're going to run out of food or you run out of energy. Technology allows us to move to a world of abundance, and it allows us to educate more people, to feed more people, to provide healthcare for more people. And that is why, I believe from a moral perspective that technology is so important. The other thing is about technology is where there's a world where there's so much change and revolution and disruption, there's uncertainty. And in markets, it's uncertainty that you can make the most money. So from an investor perspective, there are things that we see in our world today all around us that we couldn't have imagined were possible 15 years ago. I mean, Amber, I just have to tell you, this phone, right? Yeah. I cannot leave the house with it. I mean, 15 years ago, these didn't even exist. And when the iPhone was first invented, it was like, no one's going to use that thing. There's no keyboard on it, right? Or the apps are too slow. And then people said, we'll just wait because there's going to be 4G soon and LTE and 5G, and they'll be much more usable. So I look for basically periods in time in technology where there's some type of convergence factor so for the iPhone, it was the speed of chips is increasing, at a rate that's going to make these apps more usable. And you're also going to have wireless networks and network bandwidth that'll make you capable of, summoning an Uber from wherever you are and being able to have that Uber come with you. So this is, the thesis of basically you're doing more in the world with less, and it's pushing human productivity forward and just increasing prosperity for everyone. So from a moral perspective, that's why I love investing in technology. And also I think in uncertain markets is where there's much more opportunity when no one really is sure about what the future will hold.
So Ian, at Banyan Hill, I know you have a product lineup with your Winning Investor Daily subscribers and readers. Can you share what you're currently offering them and how you're helping Main Street and stock investors today?
Yeah, I love this question. So we have Winning Investor Daily. That's our daily free email that you can get. And then we have Strategic Fortunes, which is a monthly and weekly service. I do a monthly issue for Strategic Fortunes where, similar to Profits Unlimited, where I outline what I think is happening in the markets and here's an investment idea. And then we also have a New Era Fortune service, which is basically taking these same types of very innovative technology companies, but looking at smaller cap ones where, they're not applicable to hundreds of thousands of readers like our free Zine. And then I also write a cryptocurrency newsletter, which many people might be familiar with. It's sort of been kind of a side hobby of mine, just delving into the cryptocurrency markets and following the trends of what's happening there. So those are 3 newsletters and then the one free daily newsletter.
You're covering the gamut. You're covering all the bases, so that's good to see,
We
Ian.
try.
I know you
Mhm.
are. It's awesome. So, I just a few more questions.
Mhm.
Ian, could you share with us your single best investment philosophy that you like to share with retail investors today, Main Street and stock investors?
Um, that's a great question. So the idea is that I write about speculative assets, right? And if you think about it, I think Jeff Bezos said this just most appropriately, where if you have a 10% chance of making 100x gains in something, you should take that bet every time, right? Even though 9 times out of 10, it might go to zero.
Mm-hmm.
And in order for someone to do that, right, you have to sort of build a hierarchy. You have to have a pyramid, right? In
Mm-hmm.
anything, you have to have, shelter, food, water, clothes,
Mm-hmm.
friendships, and then you could have your recreational, leisurely stuff on top of that pyramid.
Right.
And investing is similar. At the bottom of the pyramid, you have to have some type of safe fallback assets. You have to have cash available to get you through a certain amount of time in your life. Then you have to have bonds in your portfolio. Then you have to have value stocks, blue chip stocks. And then at the top of this pyramid are the things that I write about, these sort of ideas that could be absolutely transformational and world changing and lead to incredible investment gains. But you cannot invest in these type of stocks unless you have built the pyramid below you and properly diversified, because you're just going to get shaken out. If you put all of your assets, and I can't talk for everyone because everybody's a different age and a different part of their lifestyle. If you're 15 years old, 20 years old, you can put all your assets into cryptocurrencies, not worry about it. But if you're older, you have to have a portfolio that will survive through any market, right?
Right.
If you invest too much into tech stocks and volatility, it's going to shake you out, and you're going to sell at the lows, as most people do. And then you're going to miss the next big wave. So my investment philosophy is always, make sure your bases are all covered before you start speculating. Don't go speculate first, and then try to raise enough capital to create that base. Start with the base and then speculate on top.
Beautifully said, Ian. And I like how you use the pyramid example, because everything has a need to have a firm foundation, and that cash, that asset at the bottom is really something to have. So in that pyramid, you mentioned recreational and leisure activities at the top. So I just thought at this time we just get to know a little bit about you behind the scenes, where you're not waist deep in finding the next stock recommendation.
Sure.
So what do you do for fun, Ian? What are your hobbies? What do you enjoy?
I mean, I love the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
That is like where I'm most comfortable. I grew up on the beach. My dad was a surfer. He taught his kids all how to surf at early ages. I have a 2-year-old who, her mom is not crazy about me trying to put her on a surfboard at this age just yet, but I just enjoy spending time with my family, my dogs, and being outdoors. So I guess that's what I do when I'm not reading and thinking about the markets.
Sounds wonderful, Ian. Really great outlet there. So my final question to you today, Ian, is I'd like to know, what is your ultimate mission, your goal for for all investors here at Banyan Hill regarding winning Investor Daily in our Bull Profits Nation readers and subscribers? What's your goal and mission for them?
I want to help people think differently, and not necessarily teach them how to think, but what it is that they should think about, and from my perspective, watching the markets now for a quarter of a century,
Mm-hmm.
it's all about narratives, right? And I think that there are investment analysts who, are sort of like in the weeds, worried about like the numbers,
Mm.
and from my perspective, it's like, that means like any CPA could be a billionaire if that worked, right?
Right.
The market really comes down to fear or greed.
Mm-hmm.
People are irrational. They make irrational decisions. They get way more irrational than you can ever imagine. And I'm just fascinated by the sort of cycles that we have, where it's a pendulum that swings from a very greedy stage
Mm-hmm.
and down to a more fearful stage. So if you think about it, if you were looking at a pendulum, it has to match the equal distance, right? So just given the last couple of years, you had incredible fear around COVID. There was so much uncertainty in March 2020, and
Mm-hmm.
then that pendulum swung to the greedy side, and now we're seeing it swing back to the fear side. So we're setting ourselves up right now, I think, for just an incredible opportunity in the next couple of years with how pervasive fear is right now and how low consumer sentiment is.
Right.
And so, what do I want to teach people? Well, it's really the market is something that it doesn't necessarily repeat itself, but it sure rhymes, because it's the same people who are making these decisions, over and over again from a fear greed perspective. That, and also, I'm just a very curious person. I like to learn about new technologies, new trends. I know you do as well. And I like to write about it. And I feel that I learn more by trying to teach things to people. And for me, that is very self-fulfilling. Like I've worked in jobs where I make rich people richer, on Wall Street. And now I just love helping the average mom and pop think about their finances, think about, stock ideas, thinking about their investments. So for me, this is much more purpose-driven work than I was doing in the past. And like, I'm just so excited to be part of Banyan Hill and along with this journey.
Oh, Ian, I just love that. Who doesn't love teachers, which is you, and who doesn't love the idea of purpose-driven work? Fantastic. Well said, Ian. I want to thank you so much for stopping by today to talk to our Bull Profits Daily readers. It's just amazing to hear from you, and I'm so appreciative of your time.
Oh, thanks, Amber. I'm really excited to get on the ground running. So, next week, here we go.
I know. I look forward to working with you and teaching as well. I love teaching too.
Awesome. I know you do.
So I look forward to speaking with you again, and you'll be seeing more of us soon, Bull Profits Nation. So stay tuned.
Sounds good. See you soon.
See you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
So a very big, hearty thank you to Ian for joining me today. It was fantastic getting to know him even more. I hope everyone watching feels the same way too. And thank you, loyal Bull Profits readers. You all rock. And no, starting officially this week, you'll be receiving insights from Ian and me from Winning Investor Daily. And if you'd like to reach out to Ian or me with any questions, please email us at winninginvestordaily@banyanhill.com. And know that you can follow Ian King and me on Twitter. Ian is at Invest with Ian, and I am at A Lancaster Guru. You can follow us for the latest stock news on future forward investing. So thank you for tuning in, everyone. And until next time, take care.